Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. Suddenly I had to hurry, run to come here. So I'm a little bit out of breath. Superficially, our experience may be like this. We have to run. It's moving, moving, always changing. But deep down, there is that aspect that is not affected by any of this. We experiencing everything against the background of that silence, of that immovable essence. That essence is ever present. Our attention may be totally absorbed in happenings, in what's going on superficially, totally taken into the situations, into one's emotions, in one's actions and reactions, in what people do, what people say, in wondering what they think, how they perceive me. All this is superficial. Deep down, there is silence. It's always here. It's never absent. Whether we are alone and quiet, whether we are with people and talking, whether we are staying in one place or whether we are very swiftly moving from one place to another, deep down, there is that silence, immovable. It's always there. We can always access it. We just have to somehow have the discipline to remind ourselves to turn the attention back and relax in that. And even if we totally are absorbed in our actions and what's going on, the moment and remembers one can stop the moment and just relax into it. It's not something that we have to go looking for. It's here. It's never absent. The basic ground out of which all the whole experience emerges. It's not that we have to attain it by practice. It's not that we have to be given it by somebody. It's not that grace has to produce them. It is here, it is now. Practice helps. Practice makes us alert. Practice makes it easier to connect with them. Practice is not to attain something. Practice is to become more alert and connected. And in that increasing conscious connection with that essence, it starts to get easier and easier to just stop a moment and just let go, relax, and be. Instead of worrying and wondering what we should do, instead of wondering what is going to happen the next day, instead of wondering why have I not done it better yesterday, instead of worrying about what is going to happen, what could happen, what people think, we can just bring the attention back to that silence and relax in that. Be, just be. There are so many things we could worry about if we want to, what's going on in the world politically and otherwise. There's a lot of not nice stuff going on, and it can absorb the attention terribly, but we can also become aware that there is always that aspect that is not affected by it. Come back home to that, relax in that, let go of the worries. Doesn't mean you have to avoid knowing what's going on this level. We can very well be informed and see what's going on. We can very well see that there is disharmony and there is a lot of possibilities for improvement. But it's not necessary to spend our time worrying. In spite of being aware what's going on, still we can connect here, now, timelessly, and let the attention sink into that peacefulness, the essence of what is, and just be open. The more we are doing, the more life is full of joyousness, no matter what's going on. The more we are doing that, the more that awareness is there that nothing can happen to that. The body can die, the mind can be made crazy. All the manifestations have a vulnerability, but not that. You are always safe. Home, back home, in that sense. If that awareness is there, we can face circumstances that are unfavorable without getting thrown out of the balance because of it. Sometimes, momentarily, there is restlessness. One may be sucked into it, one may react to it, one may flow along with it, but deep down, one can be aware there is something that is not effective. Come back home to that and leave from there. That's the job we somehow have to do. It's not produced by practice, but practice helps. Daily having time where we are doing nothing else helps a lot to make us more alert, to create like a current, an energy current that helps us to connect. It cannot be given. It is here. It's now. It's not something that is absent and can be given. Sometimes a great being can give experiences, can give energetic support. All that is possible. But this essence is not something that needs to be given from one to another. It is your true nature. It is here, it is now, it is never absent. It's not even given by grace. Grace is something mysterious. It's always there to make all this function, that all this is possible. It's sometimes within manifestation, suddenly it falls in one place more concentrated. It cannot be controlled. It can be invited by being open to it. But even grace need not give that, cannot give that. It can give us the peace that is necessary to become aware. That can be given. But then it's up to us that we are not destroying it again, that we are learning not to be more interested in all the happenings than that which makes the experience possible. Somehow we have to convince our monkey mind that this is more interesting. From the usual standpoint, this is boring and everything else is exciting. But once we become aware how much joyousness, how much a sense of fulfillment comes out of one's own essence, then slowly the mind changes its ideas about it and starts to become aware. It's not worth to lose that and run after everything else. We can play our role, but at the same time, even playing our role as human in this world, we can connect and be aware. There is that peaceful base, it's never absent. Come back home to that and connect with that. Dive into that. Get rooted in that and live from that perspective. This is the point of practicing. This is the point of having a teacher. This is the point of opening the heart to the divine. To come back to one's own natural state, which is our birthright. It's there for everybody. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. All right, my friends, I'm asking you, is there anybody who would like to say something? You're welcome to do so.
Hi, Werner.
Hello, Ravi.
Someone told me a long time ago that um, that you shouldn't shower directly after meditating because it somehow spoils the currents, or I don't know what it does, something to your, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
You shouldn't shower immediately after meditation. Well, I
Yes.
don't I don't think that there is any harm in doing so. But I know that uh, in Taoism they are very strict about such things. Also, you should not sit under a fan and you should not be too much exposed to wind, because if you do your practice, then somehow they say the the chi is blown away or washed away. I think there is a little influence like that, but it's not so important. If you can
The re
wait a little bit after meditation before you shower, why not? But if somehow because of your schedule it happens that you should shower just after meditation, don't think that you are losing what you are gaining in meditation. If you think like this and then shower, then it will happen. But if you are sure that you are holding on to your strength, even if you are showering after meditation, then nothing bad will happen.
Great, great. The reason I asked is because like I've always kind of woken up and meditated, but now I'm doing Abhyanga. So I put oil on my body, then I meditate, and then by the time I finish meditating, it's time to shower and wash the oil off. So it's not kind of like a one-off thing here and there. This will be a regular thing to shower straight after. But I mean, the alternative is that I can meditate later. I can do Abhyanga um, kind of just before lunch, but that doesn't feel convenient for me. So um, I'll just listen to what you said just to reprogram my mind tomorrow, just to remind myself. Well, I don't even need to. Well, so do you think I should just not worry about it every morning
You
and
just not worry about it, and then
yeah,
because the doubt is there slightly in your mind, that you contradict that doubt, and when you sit down for meditation, that you are being strong, and even after that, when you are showering, that you are not losing that strength, you are not losing the benefit, and you can again, when you get up from meditation, repeat that to yourself, that you are strong and that the benefit of the meditation is not going to be diminished because you are showering, and then nothing will happen.
fantastic. I love that. Thank you so much, Werner.
You are welcome.
Cheers. Hurry on.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hurry on.
Is there anybody else who would like to come? In certain approaches, in certain yogic approaches, or as I mentioned also in Taoism, these kind of things, what Ravi just mentioned, are being taken very, very serious. In the Hatha Yoga approach, and I'm not meaning with Hatha Yoga just doing daily your yoga asanas, but in the classic Hatha Yoga approach, where the yogi goes out in the forest and lives in the forest when, if possible, with a master, there are so many cleaning procedures and so many rules how to behave, what to do and not to do in order not to lose a little bit of energy. And they all work and they all are true. But if one is then too much absorbed into this kind of things, then somehow one is missing the point of doing all this yoga. If one is attracted to yogic practices and hears about this, and hears about that, what can be done to purify, what can be done to preserve the energy. If there are aspects that are appealing, one can pick them up and integrate them in one's practice, and that's fine. We need not to somehow just push this away and say it's nonsense. It's not. But we don't have to make these things into an important thing. And somebody who is not approaching on a yogic path and is not caring about any of those details, if they are strong, if they connect, they have as much success in it like somebody who is coming from that yogic direction. What matters is that we are sincere in it, that we are strong in it, that we really want what is true. And then on the way, as it comes along, as it appeals, one can adopt certain aspects that can be helpful. But if we hear about other aspects that don't appeal and one doesn't want to too much to go into that direction, then it's good not to be afraid that this is somehow preventing us from really getting deeper spiritual. What matters is that we are making our mind strong. And what does it mean to make our mind strong? Means not that we can now think and think and think more. In contrary, what matters is that we learn to think less. And then our thoughts become strong, our thoughts become clear. We can direct them in such a way that they are helpful, that they are opening up our heart, that they are opening up the whole being, that they help us to remove obstacles on the path. And then the thoughts are useful, and they are purposeful, and they are strong. A strong mind is a mind that is capable of thinking little and clear, not of thinking lots and lots. And so with a strong mind, we can connect, and that is what matters. And then on the way, if we feel there are things that create more difficulties, if we can avoid them, we avoid them. And we cannot avoid, if we cannot avoid them, then we go through them with the conviction. After all, these are details. We are dealing with them. We are making ourselves stronger than the influence of those details. Because otherwise we can get stuck too much into rules, into little aspects that somehow can have an influence, but if we are taking them too serious, we're giving them much too much power. It's reasonable to live in a way that we feel we are not unnecessarily creating obstacles. It's reasonable to eat in a way that we feel our body is feeling good with it, and it's helpful to open to the subtle reality that it's not getting more and more obstacles because of it. All this is there, but if we are attentive, then everybody finds out for themselves what is important, what is not so important, and what helps and what creates obstacles, and starts to adjust just automatically to rather avoid that which doesn't help and rather to invite that which is helpful without getting obsessive about details of it. Okay, my friends, I'm asking you again. Is there anyone who would like to come and say something? You're welcome.
Hello.
Hello, Andreas.
Um, the this the stuff you talked about in the beginning, can you relate this more to like President Trump being elected? That like one of my best friends is very unhappy about it. I mean, me too, but I don't take it so much to my heart, and I don't know if it's because I absorbed your teaching more, or is maybe I'm not so concerned about it. I think, okay, it's, yeah, to put it very simple, like the cats and dogs in Germany or in America are not worried about it so much neither. And I take your teaching in a way that I should attend more to the present moment and not so much be lost in my thoughts and worries what this will mean in the future and what is going to happen through that and like that.
Right.
Does this go the right way, or is it? Yeah, sometimes I think maybe my friend is much more concerned, and yeah, please.
Yeah. Anyhow, you and I, we are not going to influence politics, aren't we? So you are well advised not to get upset if things are happening that are not to your liking. What we can do is being strong in our awareness here now, and that has an influence on the whole world situation. And then If details are happening that one doesn't particularly like, so then so what? Some people are very, very happy that Trump is elected, and some people are very unhappy. Anyhow, that honestly speaking, there are forces behind the governments that are very much directing them. In the end, it doesn't make so much difference whether it's this one or that one who is being elected. So definitely don't worry about it. But if you confront the situations, if some things are happening and you see that the tendency is there to get sucked in and to worry about it, then you just say, hey, come on, can I externally influence it directly? Most probably not. But what I can do is exactly not to give way to worries and throw away our beautiful, creative life force in that way, but be strong. And then, even if you see things that are not so favorable, when you connect with that, at the same time you are capable of being strong in yourself, then you are not worrying about it, but actually there you are sending something very creative and helpful in that situation. And if more people are doing so, then it also influences the world events, what is happening. No, you're right, not to worry.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And about the energy, I found it very interesting what you say, and um, yeah, not to put too much attention to it, but on the other hand, I don't have very much energy. That's my impression, and I don't know how I lose it. But slowly I learned some things that give me a little bit more energy, and I like to learn more about that because I feel that then my like meditation practice or the ability to stay present is getting stronger, right?
Right, exactly. If we are depleted, then the tendency is more to be distracted mentally. If we are energetically low, then it's more likely that we are sucked into depressive moods or worrying about things. If you are more feeling more energetic, then it's also easier to step a step back and not be so affected. So it's worth to watch our energies and become aware where we are losing energy unnecessarily, and then maybe learn not to do so anymore.
Do you have any recommendations?
It's happening all the time. It's not like there is one big hole where the energy is going. It's happening the whole day long in all the little events that are happening the whole day long. When we start to observe and see our reactions and see that there is the tendency to get so much sucked into things that are not necessary to get sucked in. Not simply the big world events like who is now elected in America, but every little situation that we are confronting has the tendency, if we are not observative, because we have learned to live like this, that we are getting emotionally very much sucked in, and we can learn not to become like stones. We can still be sensitive, and we still can feel that emotions are coming, but at the same time, we can also be aware that all this is not so important to get so worked up about it most of the time. That's how we are draining a lot of our life force away unnecessarily. And if we learn to be more in an observing position, instead of being so totally immediately emotionally involved and pushed around, then there is that beautiful life energy that is always there. There is much more preserved and used in a much more constructive way. And your observation is correct. If you are feeling depleted, then it's more difficult also than to detach and bring the attention back to the source, because there the tendency is more to just being swept away by no matter what is happening, or even by thoughts that are coming, that immediately we are so much overwhelmed by whatever thoughts we are having, what we are thinking, that all the attention goes into that and flows along with it and sucks that energy away.
What is actually stealing the energy? Is it the emotions or the resistance or something else?
It's that identification with it. It's that we are then completely forgetting that after all, there is something that is not affected by what is happening. The complete identification with the situation, and then we are making the emotions strong, and they become overwhelming, and they can become destructive. There's nothing wrong with emotions, but in a way they have their place. And if we are having the tendency to totally identify with that aspect, then out of a little wave, a little ripple, we make a huge wave.
Yeah, but it's so hard to drop the identification.
It's so what?
So hard to drop the identification.
It needs a constant reminder again and again. Hey, come, I can stop. I can step a step back. And somebody who is practicing like you are doing can do that. Somebody who is not practicing has little chance to have that alertness at all. But you have the alertness, it then just needs that you keep on reminding yourself. You can start your day with the intent that you want to remember. Not simply when you are doing your practice, but also when you are doing your job, when you are going through the city, when you are confronting impossible people. that even then you can remember there is something not affected, and learn to relax in that. And then we forget again, but the moment you remember, just make it into your habit. At the moment you remember, at that moment you just connect sincerely and relax. Not think, okay, they got me again, I cannot do anything. Okay, it got you again, but right now you can do something about it. You can connect. You can, no matter what the situation is. And even if the mind comes and says, but I was totally justified to react like this because they were wrong, it doesn't matter whether they were wrong or not. What matters is that we learn not to throw away our energy unnecessarily.
So it basically means to develop more equanimity, like they say in Buddhism.
Yes, equanimity that is based on that capacity that that awareness is growing, that after all, no matter what is happening, one aspect is there that is simply not affected by it. And make that more and more in your base from where you are functioning.
This is where I make progress in this direction very slowly, is my impression. That is like in the after the meditation, I feel a little bit more equanimity. But for example, when I take a walk in the woods, mostly I'm lost in my thoughts. And sometimes I remember it and I try to stay present, but it feels much more shallow than when I after meditation, that I'm not really like another teacher says, it's like uh, your identification is like a burden, like a rucksack that you carry, a bag that you carry all along. And if you drop it, only then you feel the weight. But I feel I'm not dropping very much weight when I'm walking in the woods.
Mhm.
And
Yes, but it seems that you just have the habit from a long period where what you did when you were walking in the woods, then you were thinking about things and
yeah,
you haven't challenged that. And now you can challenge it and say, okay, I'm walking. And when you remember, when you become aware, I'm walking amongst all these beautiful trees, but my attention is all over the place and not here, not experiencing the experience at that moment. You can come back and you say, okay, but it's it's shallow, it's less profound than after meditation. But even if it feels like this, it's still a totally different situation than if you don't check your thoughts and you just, once you have gone through the forest, you have no idea anymore what actually you have experienced, because your experience was all over, your attention was in the mind and all over the place. So just learn. When you start your walk, you started with the intent, but today I want to be alert here now. And whenever you catch yourself, oh, I'm again far off, oh, got me again, but here now you come back and relax. And gradually you will feel also there in those situations where you are active, it's getting more and more profound, not simply after meditation.
it feels a little bit like work.
It's work because we are, without being aware, working so much to do the opposite. And to learn to stop that is some work, right? Nothing wrong with doing some work. Don't get uh, somehow sidetracked by people who saying don't make any effort. It should be effortless. Okay, if you can be here now effortlessly connected, that's perfect. But when we catch ourselves that that habit is there, that the attention is always going off, then it is so an effort until it becomes natural, until it becomes habitual, helpful, that we can do the opposite. Then to stop a habit is a work, is an effort, but should not be afraid of making that effort. It's not that that effort is somehow bringing us away from our inner being. In contrary, that effort simply is an effort to become aware how much effort we are making all the time. This kind of thinking about things, this is an effort that we have such a habit that we are not aware that we are making an effort. And that also is eating up a lot of the life force, just totally useless, because those thoughts, most of them, they are not very necessary. They are just dreams that repeat themselves, and one turns round and round the same subject and seems to get a little bit a kick out of it doing so. But what the percentage of what is necessary, what is useful of those thoughts is very, very low. And we can learn to catch ourselves and then give a little push, bring the attention back. It looks like an effort, but once that becomes more natural, then more and more this actually becomes effortless. You just become aware, there the attention goes again, the mind goes again totally. And just being aware of it, all you need to do is relax, and you're right there. But you cannot do that as long as the habit is too strong, and so don't be afraid of making an effort.
No, I'm not, because I think I understand in which way I shouldn't make an effort in meditation a little bit better than before.
Yeah.
But when I'm bicycling, like after an hour, my butt hurts. And
yeah.
Then I realize it's much more, it's much easier. Then I automatically get lost in thoughts because I try to get away from the unpleasant feeling of the little pain that I have.
Yeah.
It makes it much more difficult to stay present, because then I'm just present. The most dominant experience is like the pain in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
And so I cannot look at
Yeah.
beautiful nature anymore.
Then you can learn to simply accept that pain. And you don't have to fix your attention in it, but accept that it's there, and maybe redirect the attention instead of into the mental dreaming world to escape like that. Redirect the attention to your breath when you're cycling. Not controlling it, just being aware how the body is reacting, how the body is breathing, and then the pain is also not more present than when you think about anything.
Okay.
Okay. We have to experiment and find our way, everyone in their own way. But we can, wherever we are, we can always remind ourselves to connect. It's not, we don't have to pick it up as a heavy duty. I have to perform, because then uh, again that the resistance is getting more, but be a bit playful about it. Okay, there I am again, got me again. So, but so no, so what? Right now I'm coming home and relax.
A difficult thing for me is that I have so little energy, or that I lose it, so that I'm so sensitive to things. And sometimes I see people who don't do any spiritual practice at all, and are much more robust and sturdy, and don't have so much energy problems. And I don't, yeah, is this just like you're born like that, or am I wasting especially a lot of energy, or what is, or is it just a natural, yes, people are different?
People are different, and some have somehow by a certain grace a lot of energy at their disposal. But it's also if you become more sensitive, because you become subtler. People may be very gross and just not care about a lot of things, and then they don't lose a lot of energy about subtle happenings. But if you become more aware and subtler in your perception, then you can become much more aware also of negative influences than other people who are not doing so. And there we can learn not to lose our energy in spite of that. That instead of then struggling with those negative influences, make them decide us even more, even stronger to be centered in ourselves, in that source of energy. And then we can overcome the aspect that can come when we are doing practices, that the increased sensitivity may make certain situations much more difficult to deal with, to bear, than other people who are not doing so. But at the same time, this is the superficial energy. If we take that trouble to do so, there is a strength growing that the other person may not have, and it may not grow much, but they have just a lot of superficial energy and don't give much of a damn about anything. But then when you get more sensitive, then it may be for felt like it's more difficult to deal with certain situations than others, but at the same time, we need not resist and can accept, okay, but along with the increasing sensitivity, I can make myself stronger. And becoming stronger is being more capable of being centered in that connection with what is, what really is. And then even if superficially you may have the feeling you have less energy, your real strength, where it matters, keeps on developing and unfolding.
So India is a good training ground for that for me.
India, are you thinking of coming to India this year, this season?
No, probably not, because I have to take care of my uncle. He's
Yeah,
got dementia, and I cannot leave him alone for more than
right
3 or 4 days.
yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, I think I would come.
Mhm. Then that also is a exercise ground to that works with the uncle.
Yeah,
Right.
he's grumpy a lot of times.
Yes. Wherever we are, whatever is happening, we can always consciously bring the attention back, and then we naturally will get stronger and stronger. But then if we sometimes feel depleted of energy, then I mean, we can also take more rest if it's necessary, but we can also learn to recognize that a lot of the energy is going because we resist against a lot of what is happening. If we learn to accept and deal with it, already much less energy is being lost and we are getting less tired from it.
Okay.
I think we have covered enough for today. Huh?
Yeah, thank you, Werner.
Okay, wish you well. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Bye.
Hari Om. I see Nava is coming in. Hello, Nava.
Hi, Werner. Oh, just a minute.
You are having a nice echo.
I know. One moment.
Have you two microphones on? Yeah.
No, just a minute and I'll explain.
Okay. Now
Is that better?
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
good. I would like to continue talking about equanimity.
Yes.
Okay, and something that is not clear to me about equanimity. Someone spoke to me about a very nice picture of what he thought equanimity was, and he said, picture a palm tree with a very, very, very high trunk.
Yeah.
And the wind blows it, and the tree kind of moves in the wind. But it doesn't fall over.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said the bugs come along and they eat the bit of it, the tree, and the tree still stands there, and the bugs finally leave. What's not clear to me is where do feelings come into that? So when something happens and it makes me very happy, or something else happens and it makes me very unhappy,
Mm-hmm.
do I totally open myself up to those feelings, but like that trunk kind of stay centered? Or do I not even feel those things so deeply?
Emotions will come as reactions to what is happening. But then we can learn to be really aware. Most of the time, people become aware of their emotions only when they are already very strong and overwhelming. But if we are more observative, then we become aware how the emotions come. And then we can let them come and be there and let them go and not fight them, but at the same time, not take them so serious. That they are momentary reactions that are happening to situations or to thoughts, external situations or mental situations. And if we see them for what they are, then they are just waves. Waves, the thoughts that combine with the force, and then it becomes an emotion. They come, they are there a moment, they go, but there is simultaneously also that aspect, that current, that energy of life, that consciousness that is not affected by it. And then if you learn to be aware of that, in spite of the emotions coming, then they are not overwhelming and not a problem.
So, are you saying that those two are happening simultaneously? On the one hand, I will feel the emotion, and on the other hand, I'm at the same time aware of something else?
Yes, this is totally possible. If we learn to get rooted in that more and more, in that natural state of being at ease, at peace, then uh, even when the emotions come, if we take the trouble to really consciously observe and step a step back, then the emotions will not stop. We need not fight the emotions. Then they can come. Sometimes if suddenly a strong emotion comes and wants to be destructive, it may be all right to, for a moment, to put the breakers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then that moment passes and you can relax, and then you can already, from trying to control, shift to simply observe the emotion. And by observing the emotion, you bring the attention to the present, and here you are touching at the same time that aspect in you that is not affected. So you can be aware that deep down there is that silence that is there, like a rock, immovable. And at the same time, on the surface, all kinds of things may go on.
So you're going back to what you said about identifying, if I understand right. These things can be happening, but I don't have to identify with them.
Right,
Is that it? Yes.
yes. And
Okay.
then they don't get out of bounds. If we are not identifying with those emotions, then they stay in their place. You are aware they come. You are aware what they are doing when they are there. You can observe what they are doing to your experience physically and energetically, and you can learn to relax. They come, they are there a moment, they go, and they don't leave much traces. They don't create problems. But if we somehow feed them by fighting with them, or we feed them by identifying with them, then they become stronger and then they can create problems. But otherwise, there's nothing wrong with having emotions. That it's part of the human experience, and it's nothing wrong in that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I think,
But
yeah, that makes a lot of
definitely
sense.
you remind yourself and remember, you can simultaneously be aware of an emotion, what it is doing, how it is functioning, how it is manifesting, and be aware that there is at the same time that aspect that is not affected. And then they lose their power, and then they are not a problem.
Okay. And one of the big problems for me is that they usually do leave a trace, and the trace goes on and on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's then again the identification. Then we are
Yeah.
holding on to, and then even if, when the situation has gone, we sit there in our corner and churning it around and around. How could he say like this? No.
Yes.
It's that, and if you catch yourself, that that is happening, then at that moment you don't start to scold yourself and say, hey, you're doing it again, but okay, there I am again. And there you can observe that that is happening, that the traces are there, that the tendency is to think around the situation and maybe distribute guilt and who is right and who is not right, and all the stuff that comes along with it. And when you see that, then you can step back and just observe that, and it's wearing out and you are not feeding it anymore. And then after a moment, it will pass.
One more thing to do with this, I find that in some very long-term relationships, that things happen sometimes a long, long time ago that are so hurtful, and it feels hard to let go of that and just be in the present. It's as if the past is maybe not dominant, but still very much there.
Yes. It's because at that time we were not processing the emotions and not learning to detach from what has happened, and somehow we managed to suppress it in the subconscious. And from there, it keeps on nagging, and then suddenly anything may trigger it, and it comes up again. And there, it's good to accept, okay, it's still there. So let me not try to control it and press it right back in the subconscious. Then let it come up, let the hurt come up, let the situation come again, see what has happened, but at the same time, learn not to get lost in the situation, in the memory, and be aware what is it doing to your experience now, not in the past. Let the past come, let the memory come, let the hurt come, but see how this is manifesting now. And there we can start to relax, and then the power that is locked into this kind of old stuff that is there in the subconscious and nagging and always waiting to come to the surface, the power slowly dissipates. It may take a number of times. It may take one time that you really let it happen and it comes up and you see the whole thing and it somehow neutralizes and it's just a memory. But something that is strong, it may happen that you deal with it like this and you may have the feeling, like a burden is gone, it's past, but it's not finished, it's still there and it comes again. And then don't be disheartened, then you accept, okay, it's still too much charged. And I just do the same thing again. I just let it come up again. Don't fight against it. Don't fight against the fact. Don't fight against that it has been as it has been in the past, but accept that it has been as it has been in the past and see what it is doing to your experience right now. And here, we can learn to relax, physically relax, energetically relax, and then we can start to really also emotionally and intellectually relax about it. And even strong stuff that comes repeatedly, if we deal with it like this, gradually the intensity of what is locked into it is reducing, and finally it's not more a problem. It's just a memory.
So it's like so many things to be with it, not fight it. Yes, and then just let go around it.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
As long as we are insisting and turning it around, and it was not right, how could they do so? And I was right, and insisting on all that, then we identify again with the situation and strengthening it actually. But if we see that that tendency is there, then we observe also that and step back and learn to relax and accept the situations are in the past. They have been as they have been, and just see what it is doing to you instead of justifying or assigning guilt to myself or to others, or just, and then even strong stuff gradually dissipates, and then it stops being a disturbance.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hario. Hario. Hello, Kirsten.
Hi, Werner.
Hmm.
I have a issue. It's very related to what you have been talking about. I have had a long period of what I would call peace and quiet,
Yeah.
and really enjoying the colors of the autumn and happy every moment. And now I'm really, fear really struck me very, very deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm observing, of course, a lot about. Also, I'm having some realizations what is deeply activating it. There's something, I have some visa problem. There's some tax issue, and some dental work. And the dental work is always really a trigger for me.
Yeah.
But I also realized that this very irrational fear, because with my logical sense, I can say, so what? I mean, worst case scenario, they pull out the tooth, so what? Worst case scenario, I change my ticket, I go on a tourist visa, I don't get my business visa, so what? So but that's on the mental level. But then, like, I wanted to come to the satsang, but I got the time wrong. And after, I can work with the fear in the pranayama and certain yoga poses. Then I can totally overcome it.
Yeah.
But then I realized I got the time wrong, and then the whole fear issue came up again, just for that little thing. Oh my God, it's already started.
Yeah.
And then it came up because I wanted to talk with you. I'm going to talk with Werner on the open channel. So it's really like latent there because it has been triggered. And I have talked with you about this before, so I'm also a little bit ashamed. I know what you're going to say, more or less, but it's like talking with you now face to face about it is so helpful in a way. So yeah, here I am.
Here you are.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, when if the tendency of being afraid is there quite strongly, then anything can trigger it. Right. Whatever, the visa or anything can trigger it. That if you would step a step back, you think, why be afraid of it? But still, so need not beat yourself up if that is happening and thinking, what am I doing? Okay, somehow this fear issue is not over. It comes again. Even if you had a period where you were more peaceful in between and may have thought, this one is maybe finally resolved. Obviously, it's not totally resolved. Then first, don't think you did something wrong, that it's still there or that it's coming back. That the tendency may be for some time I had now peace, and then now it's again disturbed by this. What have I done wrong? You may not have done anything wrong, but it is still there. The vasana, the tendency, that habit is still there and has not been resolved completely. And so then you come back to what you have been doing before. When the fear comes, when you become aware that you're struggling with the fear, that moment you make a clear intent. I accept the fear. It's there, here now. Instead of thinking I shouldn't be afraid and trying strategies to push it away, accept the fear. And then when accepting, then again doing the same thing, see how it is manifesting. See what it is doing physically, energetically. And on those levels, we can at least give the impulse to relax. Sometimes we are more successful with it, sometimes less successful. But the very fact that we are not just being a victim of fear then, but you see it, you observe, and you give the impulse to relax when you feel like the whole body is getting cramped up with it. You breathe and relax, then slowly, slowly, the fear will start to dissipate. At least we are not feeding it. And then if you do that, it may go, and for the time being, you are at peace, it's gone. And then don't think, what did I do? What was the thing that brought it about again? Anything can bring it. It's not that you made some mistake. It's not that you did something wrong, that it happened again. It came again because that tendency is simply there. It's better to accept instead of resisting against that fact. And when it's coming, then you accept that it's there. And if you accept fear, then it's not such a terrible experience. It's only when we don't want it and become a victim of fear. But if you accept, then already you're step a step out and you're not more a victim. And then the emotion is there and doing its havoc, and you observe how it is influencing the body, how it is influencing the energies, and learn to relax. And then also mentally, psychologically, and intellectually, it's not more holding on to. If we take that base away, that physical, energetic base that we are giving it, and then don't worry about it. When it's coming, it comes. And when it's not coming, don't spend your time worrying as is the fear coming back. Don't be afraid of the fear. Don't be afraid of being afraid. So, but at the time when it's not there, then just relax, be happy it's not there. And then it's coming back, not be afraid. Ooh, is it coming again? Is it coming again? What is going to trigger it again? That, of course, is the invitation that it's getting stronger. But okay, then now I can breathe and relax. And then, and when it's coming back, okay, there it is again. So what? I know you. You can not more overwhelm me. And then it's not so much a problem. Then, okay, it may not always be the most pleasant of experiences, but then it's not a big deal also, the experience of being afraid, if we can accept and observe and see what it is doing, and then it will pass again.
It's so good to hear it. Yeah, I could also feel, I mean, we have talked about this before. So there's also a little bit of fear to ask it again, but it's so good to hear it again face to face, because then I could really feel the acceptance of it. And I think that's the difficult thing, not to like more the easy, peaceful periods than the fearful times. But what I also, when you were talking, what came to my mind is also, I mean, it's obviously something deep that needs to come up. So I even had the thought to be grateful that it's coming up. Yeah.
Yes, you don't have to somehow push yourself artificially trying to be grateful about it. But you can learn not to resist and accept.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, the thought is right. If it is still there and has to come up, then it's not a bad thing that it's coming up.
Yeah,
yes.
That's what I realized.
Right.
Yeah.
And you said trying not to like the peaceful periods better than when that fear is there. You can still have a preference that because it's our natural state to be at ease, at peace. It's nothing wrong to have a preference for that, but when it's being shaken up, then not be devastated by it.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
then there is the other,
Yeah.
and if you accept, then it's not a big deal to deal with it.
Mm. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
I wish you well with it.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari
And
Om.
in case you ever feel like talking about it again, don't be afraid of doing so.
Yes, I promise.
Okay. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om. I'm trying to get out. I always have this problem.
Well, is there anybody else who would like to come and say something? You are welcome to do so.
Difficult to get in when I'm trying to get out. Let's see.
Somebody can, in spite of that, open their camera. That
Yeah, good.
doesn't prevent them.
Now.
Nobody seems to be inclined to talk right now. So let's spend a few minutes just being here. Quiet. I saw a camera lighting up. In case you feel like wanting to say something, you can. But you don't have to. Okay, it seems not to be the case. Then I recommend you, wherever you are, you make yourself comfortable physically. It's helpful to be somewhat straight, but it's not absolutely necessary. Then just don't be at war with your mind. The thoughts that may come, what should I do now? What should I do? Don't get interested in the thoughts. Just be here, be now. And redirect the attention from the mental activities to the simple fact that you're breathing, that the body is breathing. Breathe in and breathe out in your own natural rhythm. And relax. And the thoughts may want to come in between and disturb. What next? What next? Or anything that has happened that is still present. We need not fight the thoughts or control the thoughts, simply redirect the attention. Breathe consciously. Let the air flow in the lungs and flow out of the lungs. And relax. There we become aware breathing is much more than just the movement of air. It is totally connected to the current of life, to the prana. That force of life that makes everything possible. Sense perceptions may want to disturb us. Thoughts may try to disturb us. We become aware of that. We just accept they are there. The sounds, the smells, the touches. What's going on in the mind? The thoughts trying to trigger emotions. It comes, it goes. But here, now, you are at ease, at peace. Just redirect the attention and take the help of the breath. Breathe in and breathe out. Relaxedly. And relax. Consciously. Breathe in and breathe out in your own rhythm and relax. Here, now, we are touching reality. The tendency out of habit may be that the mind wants to wander off into anything. Becoming aware that this is happening. Don't fight it, just don't get interested. redirect the attention. Just breathe in, breathe out, and relax. And in the current of that, let the attention simply flow home, back home, to the now, to the timelessness, now. Whatever tries to carry the attention away from that pool of peace, that living presence in the timelessness, whatever tries to pull the attention away, we just learn to see it and then stop getting interested in it. Take the help of the breath. Just redirect the attention to breathing. Breathe in and breathe out naturally and relax. And you are right here. This is our home, here now. And then we can consciously bring the life force also back to the physical level so that we can be functional again. And after that we get up and we go about our life. But every moment it is possible that we can breathe and relax and be right here. The memory of this moment will help. I wish you all well. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.